Hello everyone, it's Stone. Thanks for being here today. According to the Federal Reserve data site, the Federal Reserve Board announced on March 7th of 2022 some changes will be made as far as the statistical release of consumer credit. Beginning with the April 22 consumer credit release scheduled to be published on June 7th, 2022, the release will no longer report a commercial bank interest rate of 48 month for new cars. Instead, the release will report the commercial bank interest rate of 72 months for new car loans. This is the part right here that we need to pay attention to. The loan change reflects a continued trend of rising loan maturities in the auto loan market. What does that mean exactly? Well, what it means is that it's an affordability issue. Many people are buying cars and they can't afford the cars. So what do they do when you go to the dealership? They say, all right, you can't afford $549 per month with insurance. How much can you afford? Is a question that they will ask. And it's something that's affected many young people because they might not be aware of how and what is really happening. So you can't afford the $549 a month. So they say, all right, no problem. Can you afford $349 a month? So what they do, they extend the loan. Instead of it being 4 years, which I don't think it should take 4 years to pay off a car anyway, but say it says 4 years, they said, all right, no problem. What we'll do is stretch it out so your monthly payment could be more affordable. We're going to put it to 5-6 years, right? 60 months, 72 months. So now it's taken 6 years to pay off a car that really should be paid off within 4 years, which realistically, if you're purchasing a motor vehicle, as far as affording a motor vehicle, something that you can afford, not qualify for, and that's something that we're going to talk about in a few, is you want to be able to afford a car that you can pay off, I say, within a year, 2 years maximum. If a car is taking you 4 years to pay off, that's an affordability issue. You need to think about that, because what's going to happen is over the course of years that you have this loan, the interest is going to be piled on. Don't think for a second that these loan places aren't going to make their money back on the back end. That interest, you will be paying for it over the life of the loan. So now that $20,000 car can end up costing an additional $6,000 just in interest, sometimes more than that. And the interest rates are steadily going up. According to the Federal Reserve data site, it's saying that revolving credit increased at an annual rate of 21.4%, while non-revolving credit increased at an annual rate of 6.1%. Consumer credit increased at an annual rate of 14%. This is a problem. It's a problem because it's clearly showing that people are not being able to afford the things that they are qualifying for. What does it mean to qualify for something? All it means is that you have showed the credit report agencies that you have been paying certain bills off in a timely fashion, or maybe not in a timely fashion, and what is the risk to reward ratio for the loan company that's going to give you this loan. At the end of the day, it's basically what it is that you have the ability to pay. That's essentially what it is that you qualify for. Just because you qualify for something does not mean that you can afford it. You might qualify for a loan for $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, but it doesn't mean that you can afford that, because you have other financial obligations. Individuals are not able to afford the things that they're having. What if there wasn't credit cards? Would people be driving around the way that they are? Because let's think of it realistically. How much people are paying cash nowadays for the things that they are buying? It's rare. So you go to the gas station, you fill up your car, and now you're paying an interest rate on the card also. That's also an affordability issue, because if the gas is $4.39 per gallon, and now you put in your credit card, which is 27% on a dollar, whatever it might be, you're paying extra for each gallon of gas that you put into that car, especially if you're not paying the credit card in its entirety every month. I remember when I was younger, I really wanted this car. It was a Volkswagen GTI, and it was red, and I wanted this car so bad. At that time, I was working at UPS. I believe I was making something like $9.50 per hour. And I went to the dealership with my mom, and thank God I went with her, because I went to get this car and I wanted the car so much that my emotions got the best of me. And the dealer wanted to sell me the car so bad. I forgot what the price of the car was. In order to qualify for it, I would have to use my mother with her salary. And that's already a red flag zone. You do not want to ever co-sign for somebody or be in a position where somebody has to co-sign for you. And my mother wasn't about to have that loan on her credit, because there's things that she wanted to do also, and it wasn't her responsibility to do so. She said, I'm not gonna get the car. I was mad at my mom. I was pissed off for quite a while because I wanted this car so bad. But what she said was, take the money that you've saved up and you buy a car for $7,000. So I end up getting a used car for $7,000. I believe it was a 1996 Honda Accord Coupe, and it was red. I was satisfied, not my first choice of what I wanted. However, it was a car nonetheless. At the end of the day, I was grateful to my mother for not buying the car and having me get the used car, because there was so much more that I could have done with my money. I was able to buy the car cash. Then I was able to do things that I wanted. I was going to school, so I was able to pay for that. If I had bought the car for, I believe the GTI, the Volkswagen, was about $20-something thousand, I wouldn't have been able to do anything. All my money would be jammed up with having this car. So things to think about. If you happen to have 4 different tires on your car, you cannot afford the car. If your car isn't running optimally because there's idiot lights or service lights all over in the vehicle, you cannot afford the car. Do yourself a favor and think before you make these purchases. Do not be emotionally attached to a vehicle. And another thing that happens sometimes is we buy a crash car or whatever the case might be, and we put 2 cars together, the good part of a back one and the good part of a front one, and we put it together because we want this luxury car, and then we get into a motor vehicle accident, the car splits in half. Cars are not supposed to split in half. Cars are made as one solid body. So now you're driving an unsafe car that could potentially kill you or kill somebody else because you wanted something that you qualify for, but you weren't able to necessarily afford to maintain and afford to have, along with whatever it is that you wanted to do in your life. A lot of these dealerships are well aware that many people cannot afford these cars. And they have the mindset that you're going to get this car off of this lot for a certain amount of time, and then maybe the car is going to be repoed. After the car is repoed, they get the car back, they sell the car to somebody else. Also, check to see, before you purchase the car, how much it's going to be to insure the car. So go to the dealership, see the cars that you like. And I think that gives a good reference of affordability also, because many times we think about how much the car is going to cost per month based on just the cost of the car. We're not thinking about the cost of the insurance, especially when you're the first time person buying a car. Safety features determine how much you're going to pay for the car. How much the car gets stolen, where you live, is going to determine how much you're going to pay as far as insurance. But best case scenario, buy a car that you can afford. Buy a used car, get it fixed up if it needs any fixing. Fortunately, things have changed and cars now are more reliable than in the past. So you can get a car that's 10 years old and the car runs very well. You might have to do periodic maintenance on it, but every car needs maintenance. The good cars will come in the future with hard work and drive, and when you're more established. So before you go out there and put yourself in debt, especially in this financial climate, make sure that you know the difference between what it is to qualify for something and what it is to afford something. Be clear on that, because it can come back around to bite you in the butt. If you think this information was helpful to you, please share it with someone. Like, subscribe. Until next time, we'll talk. Peace.